Action.
Here we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bow Wow Bill live stream. This one's a very exciting one for me. I have with me Omar van Müller. He is one of the top dog trainers in the world, if not the best dog trainer in the world, in my opinion. Thank you so much for joining me, Omar. How are you, buddy?
My pleasure. I'm doing great. How about you guys over there?
We're doing good. It's hot. It's hot.
It's hot, yeah.
You're down in LA, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm in the Lancaster area, actually. Well, LA, yeah, for sure, yeah. But it's even hotter here. Today's not so bad. So it's been around 100. But it's been in the 105, 110 for the past week, so it's been pretty hot, yeah.
So how do you train dogs with that in that environment? I mean, I'm very lucky that I live in the Pacific Northwest, you know?
You know what? It's just short sessions. And I don't know. Actually, I posted a video, I think it was yesterday, of my puppies when I was playing with the puppies and stuff. And that was 109 degrees out there. It's just, on the shade. If there's actually the breeze is pretty cool over here because it's not a lot of humidity. So, you get to go out and play with the dogs a little bit during the day and mainly during the night. I do a lot of training at nighttime.
Yeah, I would suspect that would be the case. I mean, just like in the hot areas where working on roads or anything like that, they save that for when the cooler hours. Mm-hmm. And so do you mind doing a quick introduction about your business, where you're at? And
Sure. I'm Omar van Müller. I live in LA, California. I've been training those for a long ass time, 30 some years. I do a lot of studio work in the past 20 years. I still do some clients. I still train some clients' dogs every once in a while. And pretty much I train my own dogs. That's my hobby. That's what I really enjoy. And that's what I do the most.
Well, and I know we were talking about, as somebody that you have your dogs that are your performers.
Yeah.
And, and they're exceptional, man. So what was your first dog was a Jack Russell, right? In the Hollywood scene, or did you have another dog?
No, I had another Jack when I started in the industry. That was back what was it? 2000. Shit, I forgot. 2018. Yeah, I think it was around 98. I think it was. I had a Jack Russell, but it wasn't none of these guys. It was the first Jack Russell that I had. His name was Andy, and that's when I came to LA because it's like I've been doing tricks my whole life, and I always thought that in LA, if I get into do the tricks that I do, it should be cool to go do the movie work, and that's pretty much what I've been doing. I had a Jack Russell. He was awesome, and he got a lot of work, and that's how I got started. His name was Andy.
And then you originally were training dogs. When did you start?
Training dogs?
Yeah, just the very beginning.
Oh, I've been training dogs since I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, I was like 10, 12, 11 years old, and I had a German Shepherd that my brother was training, and I was training, and we had him jumping through fire and doing 20,000 tricks, and I look back, and it's like we used to train there was no instructions. It was just go out and watch Lassie movies and go outside to the park, see how you could train the dog to do whatever the dogs were performing, and it actually worked out really well. This is more like a common sense thing.
Yeah, and intuitive. Intuitive. Like you obviously, since you were training as a little kid, you didn't go to school first. No, I was training since I was a little kid, and then when I moved to the States, when I started high school, then I was training my friends' dogs, my family's dogs, and stuff like that. And then I moved to Florida right after high school, and I was looking in the yellow pages, looking for a job and stuff, like 18, 19 years old. And there was a Canine Academy, and I'm like, wow, let's go check it out. And I would have worked for free because I was like, shit, you go to a place that actually you get paid by doing this. It's like. And yeah, I did get paid, and a few weeks later, I was head trainer, and I haven't stopped since. So it's been a long ride, but it's been an awesome ride. That was mostly obedience, huh?
Obedience and protection.
And protection work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that obedience.
That's protection. We did a lot of protection.
And when was this? This was our late 90s?
No, that was early 80s.
Early 80s, okay. And this is how you got started with...
as a professional, yeah. As a professional dog trainer, yeah.
And then you got into Schutzen.
Yeah, I got into Schutzen in the late '80s, and I worked a few different Schutzen dogs. I started with one that was titled. I came from Germany, and it was one of my clients. He had a really nice shepherd, and we did really good with him. And then I started training my Malinois. I bought a 6 months old Malinois from a friend of mine, and he did awesome. He did incredibly well. Yeah. So, and actually, then what I was thinking is like back then, in the days, if you look, try to find videos of 1990s Schutzen, you're gonna see that all dogs were dragging. I mean, all the dogs were like walking like this. There was a lot of e-collar and sharpened prong collars. That's what it was. It was strictly that. There was no happy dogs. Maybe one, maybe a couple in 100. There was a happy dogs that were wagging their tail, but there was not that intensity and that drive that we have on the dogs nowadays. Back then, I had it with my dog. My dog never had a prong collar, never had an e-collar, and was trained actually with I had a blue choker collar made out of like a rope type thing. That was his favorite correction, but it was all motivation. Back then, we had no toys. Nowadays, you find toys everywhere, tugs and vests with 20 nothing. All that there was just like
one right here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Back then, it was in my back pocket, and you know, back then they used to sell this little. I don't know if you remember this little squeaky toys, white squeaky toys that it was a newspaper.
Oh yeah.
Find them in all grocery stores. That was my toy. That was my toy. And that was a couple of flappy frisbees that I had, and that's how I trained him. But this dog was a super high drive, energy, happy dog, nonstop. And back then, I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know anybody that had that type of dog. Now you see it everywhere. Now you have internet, and people can see all kinds of ways how people are training. So, but back then, it was just a natural instinct to follow and make the dog happy and make him crazy with the toys. So,
well, and I think that you there is that. When you see, and I remember when I was young, just getting into dog training and seeing how hardcore some of these trainers were with these dogs, I intuitively knew that there was a better way to do it. And it made me feel kind of gross. It wasn't a good thing. And that's what made me seek out different philosophies. And I think that we have evolved with training since then. But I think that a lot of times that people don't realize the importance of having solid obedience as well.
Oh, yeah. That's for everything. You have to have solid obedience. It's like some people say, like, well, you saying that it's positive training? No, it says I believe in half positive, half negative. You have to be strict, and you have to be serious straight to the dog. You tell him to sit, he has to sit. If he doesn't sit, he's gonna get a correction. If he sits, then he's gonna get a lot of praise. The more reward that you give, the happier dog that you're going to get. But you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be firm with your dog, period. If you just let him slack, it doesn't matter if he was jumpy. He will start pulling my leg and doing really silly things that he wasn't supposed to,
Yeah. So. Well, I see him bark too. I mean, with the protest bark too, a lot of times I'll see dogs do that or, and it's just you kind of got to get on them,
Yeah. You have to be firm. This is the bottom line. But at the same time, the reward and the time that you spend with the dog, that's what makes the difference and creates a balance. Because if you don't, I mean, you see a lot of people are just overcorrecting the dog and they just put him away. If there's not a bond, if there's not some type of a strong bond with the owner and the dog, then this dog is going to be miserable. It's animal abuse, bottom line. That's just what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And, but there's a rub too with trainers where expectations are laid up at their feet and they want results, and they try to speed up these results.
Yes. And that's something that I don't like. I like to set goals. I like to, let's say I'm going to set goals for a backflip. I like to set goals how the backflip's going to be. How long it's going to take me to get there, I don't know. I'm not going to try to finish it in a week or in a month.
Yeah.
It might take months. It might take me 1 month. It might take me 10 months. But it's going to be according to what the dog is giving me and what he can do. I'm not going to make him do something that he's going to land up on his head and he's going to get hurt, or I'm going to get upset and correct him because for no reason. So it's really, you just got to put the time, bottom line. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and we were talking about that as professionals. When you're working with other people's dogs, it's hard to have that time when you get home, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're training a customer's dog, you have a time. You have 1 month of training a dog. It's up to you. Have to go for it. You have to finish in that month what you told the customer that you were going to do. So either if the dog is not going to respond with treats, then you're not going to use treats. If you're not going to respond with balls, you're not going to use. So you're going to use whatever technique you can to finish that in that month. But what I always tell the customers is that I'm not training your dog. I'm giving you the tools for you to train your dog. The tools are heel, sit down, and stay calm. It's now how you use them for the rest of the dog's life that is going to be what the dog's going to become. This dog should be better in 6 months from now than what I'm giving you right now, which most of the times is not, but that's the way it should be. Owners should use all these tools and use it as an everyday life thing, with their dogs. So,
hey, how about this? So heel, sit down, stay, come. Those are the parameters, and those, no matter how you're going to use those in life, those are the tools that are going to help you communicate with your dog and also get the relationship, take it to the fullest potential that it can. I'm going to say hi to some of our listeners. Sue says, "Hey, Bill." Hey, Sue. Mario says, "Protest bark." I'm starting to get those. And then John Sparks. Hey, John. John Sparks, he owns Sparks Canine here in Monroe. He says, "Very true. My Malinois loves to work, especially tracking and detection, but is a liar and a card cheat without some correction punishment for lying in an attempt to get rewarded." They're too smart for their own good sometimes. Man.
Smart, yeah. Jumpy used to pull all kinds of shit on me, but like you get to know the dog, and you know when they're cheating and when they're not, and you're not going to just, if you let them, that's going to happen again.
They're going to see what they can get away with. And I remember when I read about the initial, for an example of like a dog knowing how to get one up. It was a cattle dog, and it was the original breeder of the cattle dog, and he was out with the cattle, and he noticed that his dog was limping. Mm-hmm. And so he picked up the dog, put him on the horse, and went home. And then the next day, he saw that the dog was fine that night and healed up. And then the next day, the dog looks at him and then just starts limping. And the guy just looks at the dog and is like, "Get out of here." And the dog just runs off,
They will do stuff like that. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's just an example of how a dog can manipulate. And we found out, if you watch, there's these documentaries where we study dogs, like Dogs Decoded, and National Geographic just had one, The Science of Dogs, and it's been proven that they can manipulate people,
all day long. Look at what is it called? What they call it? Anxiety. What is it called?
Separation
anxiety. I call it a stupid dog that is running your house, because like that's crazy. They have medications for that nowadays, and it's like, no, I personally don't believe in that at all.
Well, I think that's where they go to a lot of times with vets is hills and pills. They want them on this special hills diet, or they want them on these medications, when solid structure, good crate training, and solid obedience.
That's all it is. That's all it is. You step out of the house. If that dog starts barking, you come back in and you show them that's not acceptable, period. And then you teach them that is not acceptable. They leave him in the house. They walk out of the house. They come back. The house is completely destroyed. Always because anxiety or whatever. Then they put the dogs in meds and all kinds of. It's ridiculous. It's just a dog that is manipulating the owner. That don't go out of the house. I'm going to do whatever I want you here, and I'm totally in control of the house. So that's.
So I think that we sell our dogs short as a society, and especially when we watch videos with you, I think that I sell my dog short as a trainer.
Even the crazy stuff that we've done, I still think that we're just scratching the surface of what we can do. Because every time I'm training some like crazy shit, like the skateboard, for example.
Yeah,
we started skateboarding years ago. At the time, I thought I was the only one that had a skateboarding dog before Jumpy, and slowly then the bulldog came out, and then another bulldog came out, and then we start seeing all these dogs, how they're able to manipulate the skateboard in turns and all this stuff. And I mean, in the beginning, it was like I was happy my dog was coming off a curb. It was like, wow, it was incredible. Pushing the skateboard, but then what they can do is just, and that goes with just about every field in dog training.
Well, I mean, there's a phenomenon called the 100th monkey phenomenon. And this phenomenon talks about observing behavior with primates. And what they did was they took sweet potatoes and they fed these monkeys these sweet potatoes. Then they would throw them on the sand. And what they noticed was that one of the youngsters noticed that if he took the sweet potato down to the water and washed it off, that it was much more appetizing, appealing to him. And some of the other youngsters started doing it as well. And then the last were the older ones to change the behavior. But a thing happened is that once a certain amount of monkeys started doing this behavior, then the monkeys across the sea started doing the behavior too that didn't observe this. And so, as we start to learn and put out or learn new behavior, there's what's called a morphogenetic field. That's what Rupert Sheldrake coined it as, who's a Oxford University scholar. And there's this field of influence of behavior that we're connected to that's unforeseen. And I think that you're kind of on the cutting edge of this, man, with the dog and the dog training. Dude, one thing that got me, dude, was Omar, you do this all the time, was when Jumpy dropped a deuce in the toilet, dude.
And you know what? That was trained in 3 days. Because Jumpy knows how to do his poop outside. When I say poop, he goes. Actually, one thing that I never finished with him was to bury the poop like a cat. And he was already digging the hole and pooping on it, and it's something I just never finished. But that was what I was doing with him at the lake. So, and the toilet was just a matter of do it. Just put him in there, show him how to do everything, and then put him there and tell him do it. A couple times he was waiting, looking like, really? What are you really want me to do this? And then he just did it. So.
Yeah, and then you love him up and be like, good boy. And I've seen videos of you trainingwithomar.com, you guys. That's Omar's site, and you guys got to check it out. I'm going to put it up here really quick.
I got to update it. I haven't touched it in a little while, but yeah, it's still there.
I mean, it's still there, and it looks great. And you can see Jumpy right there. And this is something that I've watched some of your videos, and I love how you love your dogs, man. It reminds me of how I love up my dogs when they do good. Because I'm genuinely proud of them. I'm like, man, this is so cool that you did what I asked. So we have a question from Mario. He says, when you start to train a client's dog, what is the checklist, or how much obedience do you try before you start to give corrections? You try to positive to see if they get better on their own, learning some obedience?
Hold on a second. When I start training the dog myself, or when I train with a customer?
I think they're asking. So when you start to train a client's dog.
Okay. That's a good question. Okay, I like to right from the get-go start playing with the dog. I like to bond with the dog for at least 2-3 days. Okay. That's a must for me. I let him be who he is, so I can really study the dog and see how I'm going to approach the training. Because if I just start correcting the dog or tell him to do things, then I'm not really going to know what his temperament is, why he's doing what he does at home. So I give him 2-3 days. It's not a big deal. Just playing with him and getting around the dog, and then you start motivating with light obedience. Very in the beginning, a lot of positive, a lot of treats and stuff like that, if they would take the treats, and then slowly start with the corrections and keep on.
Yeah, see how they handle that. I mean, building rapport. You have to build rapport as power.
Yeah, I used to get so pissed when I was young with my friends, with the trainers or whatever, when they go and meet a client's dog and the dog jumps on top of him and they'll just knee the dog like pow and drop the dog, because it's like, come on, dude, dog doesn't even know you, and you just already kneeing the dog in the chest. It's like, chill, when you get the dog, if you ever have to do it, it's different, but not just from the get-go,
Yeah, I mean, there's degrees of challenging, and if that dog is not being malicious, just wants his face right here, he just hasn't been shown a different way. That dog's not being dog. I mean, and that's what I was telling a client just this morning with the sheepdog I was working with, is like, your dog's not being a bad dog. Your dog's just being a dog. It's just us who have a certain set of structure and rules, and this behavior is not really conducive to human life. And so we have to teach him etiquette. We have to teach him what is expected when guests come over, just like we would with a young child.
It's education. That's all it is. It's education, and that goes for the life of the dog. It's not for a couple of months and then forget about it. That's just not how it works.
Yeah, people ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey, man, how long do I have to train my dog for?" And I'm like, forever. No, I'd say just incorporate this training. Just like Omar was saying about the heel, sit, down, stay, come. Those are something that you're going to be using. I mean, pretty much I use all of those every single day. I mean, maybe not the heel like here at the, but I'm sure glad I got it when I'm at the airport.
At least a couple of them, yeah, for sure. It's like, you're going to have dinner, you put him on a down stay. Why does he have to come and beg on the table? It's just 20,000 scenarios, and it happens every day. Every day that you're out with your dog, you can use those commands to real life scenarios, and the dog will be as perfect as he can be.
Yeah.
Some people say, what I hear is like people say, just let him be a dog. It's like, really? Let him be a dog. Let him destroy your house or whatever. Yeah, okay, you're rich. You got a lot of money. You can change your carpet every day. It's fine with you. You can do whatever you want, But with my dogs, it's not how it goes,
Well, and I think that, we see the dog is fulfilled. And not only that, but we see people talking. We see communication happening, right? And with that communication, I mean, that's a wonderful thing. And when a dog is just being a dog, sometimes, I mean, so let the dog be a dog, but we take and put him in the human world.
Exactly. This is my house, not my house. My wife is a crazy clean freak. I mean, if I'm going to have dog shit in the house or doing crazy stuff, man, I'll be divorced in 2 weeks, So it doesn't work here.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just like, holding to that standard and knowing that it's okay. I mean, that it's okay to adhere and have, the routine and structure for your dogs. I mean, nothing wrong with it. And guess what? It doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel good to correct a dog, but doing what's right doesn't always feel good.
Exactly.
Right. And if we're always feeling good, then that's imbalanced. Right. And half positive, half negative.
You have to have the right balance. Even raising kids is the same thing. It's just, I have little kids and I'm firm when I need to be with them and I love them and I do whatever I need, whatever that needs to be done, to show them love. But it's half and half. It's not just one way.
So Mario says, how do you decide if you're going to use marker training or not?
Marker, like marks, like the marks that I use?
Like go to your mark?
You know what? Marks is a tool that I use for a lot of different things. Like for basic obedience or for the average people, obedience and stuff like that. It really is not necessary. The only thing that you can say that is a mark is like when you say go to place, go to your mat. That's pretty much the only thing. But when it comes to competition dogs, to high performing dogs and stuff like that, I use it all the time because you name me the behavior and I tell you how you can use a mark on it. So like even in Schutzer.
Clicker. He wants to know, he's saying the marker is a clicker.
Oh, the marker is a clicker. I thought you were talking marks.
Or yes command. You do it with your mouth.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Let's hear it. There it goes.
But anyways, I believe, I've been using this sound since way before the clickers came out. And what happens is that I don't use it all the time. I actually rather use good boy, yes, okay, that kind of stuff, because there's more communication between your voice and the dog. I like to use the clicker where you're showing markers when I'm teaching a new behavior. It's something that is totally new for the dog. And it's usually hard stuff. So usually like for sitting, exactly, like for sitting down and stuff, I don't even use it because they have enough with a hug and a good boy and all that kind of stuff. When he's like, like cover your face, for example. Yeah, when he covers you, then it's like boom, he knows that he's doing something good and you get ready to work. After that, After that, I don't use it anymore. Maybe once in a blue moon, they'll hear the clicker from me, but there's more good boy. Yes, all right, you did it. Because there's a lot of words that I can use with the dog, and he can understand me better that way. It's not like a lot of trainers, they go, hey, pay, reward, pay, reward, pay, reward. Yeah. That's like playing with a robot. It's like there's no emotions. There's not a hugging. There's not none of that stuff. So I personally don't do it. I don't disagree with people doing it like that, but I just personally don't do it like that.
I like that you said emotion and that there's a hug in there, and that this isn't a robot. This is a sentient being that has feelings, and his wants and desires are just as important to him or her as your wants and desires are to you. And we need to take that into consideration when they are doing something and they're exploring with their behavior an abstract concept. And when they get it, man, I love my dog. I mean, it's just, I'm so proud of them. And instead of bribery, where we put it, I mean, where we click and always pay these dogs, it doesn't hold the weight that we need it to. Yeah. And it's not real. When you really love up on your dog, man, and you feel them and you look at them in the eyes and they're looking at you and you're like,
I do it every day with my dogs, every day, especially like with the puppies. I mean, with Jumpy, all these dogs, like nothing but hugs and just like, I mean, of course, I'm not going to say I didn't correct them. If they need a correction, they'll get it. But especially in the beginning of the training, even with a client's dog, I can get on my knees and just hug him, let him lick me all over the place. And you can see that the dog's attitude just changes completely. It's like instead of being under all that pressure because he's being taught new things, it's just like just get down and play with him and hug him and say, "Good boy," let him. It's just the attitude changes completely right away. It's just like bang, day and night, and then you can finish with something nice and put him up. So.
Yep. Well, and it's also, you can see the little subtle nuances in their face and their eyes squint or something, that they're giving you a little feedback that, they're reciprocal of this love that you're giving them and this affection. Raquel says, yes, balance is key. Teaching right from wrong in a clear way is what it takes to have a reliable dog. Great message, you guys. And I have to tell people, you have to be as believable with that discipline as you are with that affection. Just like with that balance, that we're talking about, half positive, half negative, is like, don't take my kindness as a weakness.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And it's also, sticking to the course and repetition, man. Repetition is the mother of learning.
The way I see it is you got to put the time. The way I was telling you on the phone the other day, you have to put the time. It's like, when I'm training my dogs, like my new puppies and stuff like that, it's like I'm committed to do what I need to do. And like I was telling you, if I get home at 11 o'clock at night, I went out with my wife, dinner, whatever, 11:30 at night, I'm still going to go out there. And I don't care if I'm working for 5 minutes and feeding them and giving them some hot dogs or whatever, but I'm going to do it. I mean, it's like if I miss a couple of days a week, that's pretty rare. Because I work almost every day and I really get into it and go because that's the only way to move forward, especially when you start getting old and you start realizing, hey, I only got so much time to train, So,
yeah,
you need to put the time. That's just the bottom line.
Well, and that's also, we train other people's dogs, and so just like when you get home, the last thing sometimes you want to do is train your dog, because you've been doing it all day long. But, the best way to bond with your dog is to work them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You got the lines of communication open. You're interacting with them. You're engaging, and
train your dog. Them too. You can understand your dog, and your dog can understand you. You're not going to fool him, and he's not going to fool you. Let me put it this way: it's like if you cannot tell your dog good boy, just by faking it, because they know the difference. Is your tone, everything is. No, it doesn't work. If you mean it, then the dog is gonna get it. Not you're gonna say good boy, and it's like bullshit. The dog knows it. So you know your dog, and your dog knows you. So
they know if you're a sucker too. They know, just like what you were saying. If they can get away with it, they're going to. John Sparks says timing, motivation, consistency.
Yeah, totally.
That's it, man.
There you go, John. That's the way to do it.
Well, and also, having the idea and knowing what you're going to be asking too. And, when you can reconstruct a command, What do you think is the most difficult command that you have taught?
I get that question asked a lot, and that's actually I don't have an answer for that.
Just sequence.
You're talking about a trick.
Well, I'm talking about like painting. I mean, that painting or that skateboard. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's like
it's all
challenging. Which one is the hardest? I cannot tell you. I can tell you which are the longest ones that took the longest and stuff like that. Like skateboarding, but at the same time, it was something like a good year that it took. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to parking lots to skateboard, or at 12 o'clock at night when all the cars are gone, and or sneak in skateboarding parks because they kick you out, So it's just a lot of work. Difficult? I don't think anything is difficult. It's just that you have to put the time, It's just and be realistic in how long it's going to take you to finish to do an exercise.
What about being realistic?
Most of the times they come better than what I was expecting, so that's a big reward at the end.
Have you ever, dogs fallen short of the capabilities that you thought that they had, or have you ever thought that you can do this with one dog?
No, I'm sure. I can think of anything right now is specific, but yeah, I'm sure sometimes you're expecting a dog to do something that the dog just doesn't have the ability, or the dog doesn't like something, and pretty much what you gotta do is just move on to something else, because why push something that the dog is not gonna be able to do it because for whatever reason, So yeah, I'm sure I've talked to tons of them because I've tried a lot of things with a lot of dogs. That's how I learn. So I'm sure there's a lot of times that it just didn't work out.
When you select a new dog, what characteristics do you look for?
That's a good question too, but you know what? Like, for example, I've had dogs that were really crappy dogs that they didn't have any. But at the same time, I take him because that's my challenge. That's what I love about dog training is the challenge of learning how to do it. I don't like to pick the perfect dog. I like to pick a dog, and the main thing that I would like this dog to be is healthy, that has good hips, good elbows, and that's pretty much it. And the looks, because I do a lot of studio work, then I cannot pick like a solid black dog because they don't work, and you put 2-3 years of training, and then you're not going to get a commercial from it. Right. So then I will not do that. But so that's why you see most of my dogs are light colors. Mm-hmm. But pretty much what I expect is, good hips, good elbows, and the type of breed of dogs that is not going to break in the middle of a training. Like, for example, I was my American Bulldog that I was training. Yeah, super solid, super very muscular, very good dog. And one time playing skateboarding, I kicked the skateboard and he would go run after, and he slipped on the pavement, that. And he pulled his shoulder. He just twisted his shoulder. And that dog was out of commission like for a year, just because of that little thing, So I was like, then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with bulldogs anymore with these dogs because it's just, it doesn't work. I needed dogs that were more athletic, more, better structure. But that's pretty much what I look for. I like to, just raise them the way I want them to. If I notice that they're shy, try to get the shyness away. If they're fearful, to get the fearful away, whatever. But it's just like, that's what I like about training. I like to teach. I like to rehabilitate all these problems that they have and make him into a better dog. Jumpy wasn't the best dog when he was little. He wasn't. He was actually, many times he was shy. Some people say this dog will never make it. That kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, cool, more energy to train him and to get all those bad habits and make him to a better dog.
So, yeah, well, it's just keeping up,
my personal dogs, of course.
But you love a challenge.
I love the challenge. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something that somebody was asking me the other day. What is the difference? Why do you like to train like this and blah blah blah? And not that I want to just encourage people from reading and learning and blah, blah, blah. But I had never, ever read a book about training. I have never looked into a video about techniques of training or none of that stuff. And actually, there has been times where somebody's showing me, hey, Omar, look how I did this. And I'm like, great, Yeah. But it's like, fuck, you really messed it up for me because I like to do it myself. I like to figure out how to do the tricks. If there's a backflip, if there's skateboarding, whatever, I want to learn it. I want to play with the dog. I want to see what my mind is telling me. If it works, if it doesn't work, try something else. And so I got like so many different techniques that I just pretty much developed because I work on it by myself. And then again, this is all common sense. So a lot of trainers we're using the same techniques no matter what. But I like to develop it myself. That's pretty much what I like.
Do you ever do long line work with your dogs?
Yeah, tons.
Okay. So do I. Drive.
Actually, that was since I was little. That was my favorite tool. I mean, like when you know how to work a long line, you can walk around a long line and do whatever you want. It will never get tangled on it. So
yep.
Yeah,
and it's a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful tool to teach the dog to pay attention, and also just it's a good part to start. To start the structure of, and I call it foundation work. And I start every dog for pretty much on a long line, and see how they do, and then but like you said, play is huge. I always try to get, especially when I get my rehab dogs here with the muzzle and everything on, I try to get that muzzle off and playing with them as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. Right? And showing them, hey, look, this is fun here. Mm-hmm. This is fun. But even with that play, I have that opportunity to show correction if they get a little overbearing and see how they handle that. And so it's a great way to gauge this dog in banter, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what's that?
Yeah, so that's definitely, you have to do it.
Yeah, I don't think that a lot of trainers don't. I think they underestimate the value of play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, play and attention. That's the main thing. That's where you see a dog that is happy. That's where you see that tail wagging at 1,000 miles per hour, and then you see a willingness and the focus on the dog. If you don't do that, then you're gonna get like we were talking about the 1990s, 1980s when they were working these dogs that they were just like dragging, and then that's how it was.
Yeah.
But that's not how we're training now.
No. Well, and that's the food too. You're a food trainer.
Yeah, I do a lot of food training. Yeah.
And
I like to use food to teach the commands and the exercises because it's a lot easier to manipulate a dog with food than with a toy. So if I'm manipulating the dog like for a heel, for example, like if I want like a competition heel style, I can manipulate him with the food and put him in the position that I want and just get that going. Now, once the dog knows that, then I can bring out a toy. And when I bring out a toy, that intensity is going to double and then that heel is just not going to be pretty and perfect. It's just going to be so up that it's just super, super amped. So, and also in the commands, heel, sit down and stay calm. Everything will be like crazy good. So I start with food and then I go with the toys.
Well, and then we were talking about how often do you feed your dogs out of bowls?
Depends. Like I was talking about the puppies that I have now. I have 3 puppies out of Jumpy. I think the only time that they actually have eaten from bowls is when I'm out of town that my wife feeds them. I mean, I feed them by hand. They're 6 months old now, and strictly hand. And you know what? It takes me 5 minutes to do it. If I train them with the food, it takes me a good half hour each dog. But that's how it's done every day. And the bonding that we have is crazy. I mean, they're 6 months old, but I'm laying a foundation for these dogs to be good dogs.
Well, and earning their food too. That's where I started with my puppies. I'm no longer. I'm just feeding them when I work them. And then you also
not only that. Like remember what I was telling you. Like for example, like for whatever reason I can't train him or feed him by hand that day. I put the crib. I have a huge porch outside, concrete porch, and I throw the food, the kibbles. I put them all over the place. I also feed a little bit of raw also. But the kibble, I will throw it all over the place, turn all the lights off, and let him go find it. So he's gonna. I'm working already on on teaching him how to use their noses, which is really, really important. I know a lot of dogs. They're a year, 2 years old. You throw a hot dog next to them, and they can't even find a hot dog. So
they're all looking all over for it.
Where is it? So I put a lot of little foundations that I think they will be important for them in the future. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it'll pay dividends throughout their life. And I tell people whenever you're getting a puppy, look at your life, look at that 30,000 foot view and the dog that you want. Mm-hmm. And just like we were talking about how the training overlays with your life, I ask people, how long does it take you to have a conference call? How long does it take you to cook dinner? How long does it take you to use the restroom? That's how long the dog needs to downstay for, not just 20 minutes, but, to incorporate it with your life. And that's why we have this training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
how many dogs do you have now?
10. Yeah.
How's that wife with the 10 dogs?
Yeah, 10 wife and 2 kids and 2 cats and a couple birds.
My goodness, you are a busy man. Man.
Yeah. It takes.
So you have 10 dogs. How many? You have the poodle.
I have 2 poodles. I have 2 poodles. I have 3 jumpy puppies. I have a Jack Russell. I have a Frenchie. I have the Labradoodle. I have an American Bulldog, and I have the little Pomeranian.
Wow. And are all of them featured in shows and commercials and whatnot?
They have. Most of them they have. Like the American Bulldog, he's pretty much retired. He's probably the oldest that I have right now. That's definitely retired. He's not doing anything else anymore. The Jack Russell is getting up on age, but he's still really good. He's done a lot of studio work. So
I want to see if I can find some of your studio work on. Do you know if there's any commercials on YouTube that I can show?
Oh, you can show the Farmers Insurance. The
Farmers Insurance.
Farmers Insurance. The flooded house, I think it's called the flood or something like that.
Flooded house. I'll see if I can. It should have Jumpy on. Oh no! So it has the Hall of Flames Mermutts.
Yeah, that's it.
So hold on, let me get this. I want everybody to see this. I'll share the screen here. I'm gonna put it solo so that's what people can see. So, and then can you see that, Omar?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play it.
That's one of them. Yeah.
Here's one of the commercials here. I think I got to unplug, or let me put my audio out here before. There we go, so I can hear it. Okay, here we go. Well, maybe in here, maybe turn it up. So, there we go.
Nice guys.
All right.
At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even mermutts.
Mermutts. There's Jumpy.
And we covered it February 3rd, 2016. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
That is so cool. I got to watch it one more time, man.
Yeah.
Even mermutts.
Yeah, that's Dash. Jumpy.
Dash. Jumpy. Is that the Bulldog?
That's my American Bulldog. Those 3.
So is this CGI or?
It's not CGI. We did it in the water, and then they put all the dogs together.
You did?
Yeah. We did.
And they all swam together like that?
Yeah, there's in the studio. They build like a huge room, and they put all the water, and then get in the water. Yeah, we have to water waste.
Wild. And then you just had the marker like look right, and then they all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much like toys. You get somebody to squeak a toy that way, and then that way. So it's just like it's everybody's.
That's so fun, man.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Commercial. It was a really good one.
Yeah. What's another commercial? I got to see another one. Here's
another popular one right now is the one with Aaron Rodgers, Farmers, State Farm.
Let's see. Aaron Rodgers, State Farm. And I'll put on one of my commercials that I've done.
Okay.
Nothing. I remember you were the first one that I sent it to when it came out. So here it is right here. So Aaron Rodgers State Farm commercial. Let's see if it.
Oh, he has a bunch of.
Let me see here. Let me put
this. If you put drone, maybe it'll pop out because it was with the drone.
Okay, there's the drone right there. Okay, you ready? Here's the other commercial that Omar did.
7 years and never a scratch.
That's more than a scratch.
Jumpy.
What do you think about a new truck, buddy?
Is that Jumpy Puppy?
No, they just somebody brought him in.
Okay. Oh my God.
State Farm knows it's more than a truck, so why not give it the protection it deserves?
I'm so sorry.
Talk to a State Farm agent today.
That's great.
7 years never.
This is another. I think it's just replaying. Yeah, that's so cool, man. I mean, and it takes a lot of work, for a lot of money too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Sure.
I did a bank commercial here. Let's see if I can. Where they wanted me as a consultant here to do. We did an open casting call to the city of Seattle, and we wanted the people to bring their dogs down to UW, to Red Square, where they were going to bark on camera, and then they were going to have them sing the fight song. The dogs sing it because it's the UW dogs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so here is the commercial I did. I wonder if you'll remember it when I sent it to you. Yeah, and this is something that I am interested in doing myself too, you know, to get my dogs so dialed in that they are doing these commercials. So there's my girl Gracie, my boy Cedar and Wyatt. But it was just basically,
The dogs.
you know, just getting them to bark, man. There's my dogs right there, 3 of my dogs.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are good looking dogs right there. There's my boy, Cedar. Chewing up the duck. There we go.
That's a lot of dogs.
Yeah, man. And what got me was, so we did this open casting call. We were telling people, hey, look, we want your dog to bark on camera. And so I went over when we got there, and I'm with the production crew, and then I go over to the crowd of people, and I'm like, how many of your dogs know how to bark on command? And I'm thinking, you know, a bunch of people are going to be like, and two people out of like 90. And so I'm like, okay, you two first. And then everybody else, it was just, you know, get that dog up there and, I mean, just try to make them bark, you know. What I would do is I was like, what does your dog hate?
He's dating stuff, yeah.
And they'd be like, they hate it when somebody messes with mama. And I'm like, hey, dog. And I'm shaking the mom, you know, and the dog's like, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, next.
That's crazy.
But I mean, a lot of people, just the production crew, the equipment that they had running around. I mean, it's stressful, but the end result is pretty cool. And you do something that is much more dialed in than that. And I think that it's important too to mention that, you know, people that watch this, a lot of them are dog professionals. And I think that it's important for them to see somebody that has created a niche for themselves. Right. And because you just felt motivated to do this, and you like a good challenge, and you want to figure this stuff out on your own, you know, but guess what? You are doing what you want to do, and you're putting dogs in commercials and movies, and you can do what you want to do. If it's protection work, if it's, you know, detection, search and rescue. I mean, the sky's the limit in the dog world, right?
Yeah, sky's the limit. It's not so much. It's not even.
Yeah, just get clear on what you want to do and listen. I did an interview with Ted Efdiamitis where we talked about, you know, the top 5 things that we've learned as dog trainers. And one of my biggest thing was there is something intuitive within you that is driving you to work with animals and work with dogs, and don't ever lose that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And we need the things that we need more dog trainers too. You know, we really need more training and more educators out there to really show people what is supposed to be doing with, how to educate their dogs, because that's why we're having all these issues on dog pounds and millions of dogs dying daily, is because they're not being educated. People are just like, something's wrong with the dog, they get rid of the dog. They get a new dog and then you get rid of the dog, or the dog runs away and they don't even look for the dog. It's just like, it's an ongoing thing for years and years. And, I mean, they blame it on all kinds of things, but that's just, I think, in my opinion, is because people they're not educating their dogs the way they're supposed to be. They're not treating them like family. They're buying them to put him in the yard, and if it's a good dog, they might keep him. If not, they'll get another one. So that's why they're going to dog pounds. It's not. I mean, I support if people if they want to spay and neuter their dogs, and if they only want to get dogs from the dog pounds, whatever, it's good for everybody. But the root of the problem is that the people are not educated. They don't know what they're getting. They're just getting dogs because they want a dog for the little girl, and then 3 months later, the dog is out the door. So they're pure breeds. They're not mutts, and they're,
Well, and they're also, I tell people it's a decade decision.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, not
a 10-year, at least. I mean, 10 years is a short life. That's a larger breed. But I mean, if not, I mean, sometimes some of these dogs are 2-decade decisions.
Yeah.
And people sometimes just do it willy-nilly. And I am a big fan of preparing. Find the dog that is good for you and your family, but also don't give up on that dog once you've committed to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that dog is not, I mean, I always tell people, don't buy these dogs for Christmas, and it's, even with the kids, don't buy the dog for the kid, man. This dog is going to be your dog. Yeah. And
that's it. Yeah.
The kids are so busy, you have kids. I mean, and not only that, they're just not only so busy with their day-to-day life, but so busy with what's going on in their brain and the developing body. Mm-hmm. The dog is very valuable. And I've been working with dogs just like what you have since we were kids. And there was something there that drove us to it, and something that taught us, that structure, the value of that. Mm-hmm. And it is valuable, but it's also important to let kids just be kids too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they have to have the time. If not, that's, I'm sure you've seen the same thing, but it's just like so many people getting dogs and getting rid of them for no reason, for the silliest reasons in the world. I mean, the Pomeranian that we have now, this lady gave it to me for training. Came from Korea. Is a white Pomeranian. They're supposed to be big in breeding little dogs over there. Yeah. So she gives me a puppy, and I'm like, it's kind of little to train. And it's like, no, you can start training. It's like, okay, fine. I'll do whatever I can with this puppy, because he was little. It was like maybe 12 weeks or something like that. So I took him. Actually turned out really nice. He was a really happy puppy. Puppy and obedience was coming out great and blah, blah, blah. Finished a month later, take it back to her, and we go through the talk, like, okay, this dog still has to get bigger. And she goes, what do you mean it's got to get bigger? And I said, well, this puppy's only 3-4 months old. And she goes, they told me it was like 8 months. And I'm like, what? I mean, baby teeth, like baby teeth is like really 8 months. It's like, and then she got all this courage. I mean, she paid me for training. Like, I don't know. Back then it was like $4,000, something like that. She paid for a puppy $10,000. Mm. And then she paid me the money. And then you know what she did next day? She called me and says, you want to take him? Take him. Because he wasn't going to be the size that she wanted. So, and then she got another poodle or something like that. I don't know. But people get rid of dogs like that. So it's a shame,
It's a throwaway culture.
Yeah.
It's a symptom of a throwaway culture. Hey, James. James is watching from Australia. Hey, just got here, boys, he says. Australia. So, yeah. Have you been down under yet, Omar?
No, I've been meaning to go, and we were supposed to shoot with Jumpy a movie that came out not long ago. I think it was called Blue Dog. What was the name of it?
Oh, they got that Blue Dog cartoon down there. That Healer cartoon. Have you seen that Healer cartoon that they have?
No, but there was a movie that they were going to shoot. I think because it was Red Dog, the movie that came with Red Dog with a Kelpie, and then they were going to make the second one It was called Blue Dog, I think it was going to be called. And Jumpy was up to do that movie, but then we started doing another show, so we couldn't go.
Okay. Yeah, I want to go down there. If you do go down there, you go make sure to look up James. You guys have to come, he says. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was looking for the blue healer. There's a blue healer cartoon. James, if you know a red dog or blue dog, he says. If you know the cartoon I'm talking about, man, let me know what it is, because it's hilarious.
Oh,
yeah, it's just because you know how healers are. They can be a handful, and like this guy is getting attacked by his little puppies, you know, and they're all like all over him, and it just made me laugh. I'm a healer nut, so you know, that's what I have. I have 6 dogs myself, but I have 3 olders and 3 youngers.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, what are how many old dogs do you have?
The Pomeranian is old. The American Bulldog is old. That's just still's got time. Pretty much everybody's like in the middle, and then some really young ones. So okay. We're in good shape right now for a little while.
Yeah, I know that. You know, I'm often counseling my clients about their dogs getting older and the capabilities that their older dogs have, and kind of retiring some of these dogs. Mm-hmm. Did Jumpy ever retire at all? I know that.
No, he was in top shape when we found out that he had cancer. He was like, we had contracts for the last year. It was like,
that breaks my heart.
I thought he was in his prime. That's pretty much what he was.
How old was he?
He was just turning 9.
Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. I mean, after a while, it's just like, I thought, you know, maybe that he was older, but that breaks my heart even more.
No. He was in his prime. He was like so much to learn still, you know. It was like this.
Yeah, and that's kind of the rub, you know. These guys are only with us for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's why it's important to work with them. Before you know it, they're going to be old.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best thing that I can tell is that, you know, he had a life. You know, he did stuff that only people would dream about having that type of life. You know, he did everything in that he could. So he had a good life.
Yeah, well, and we just saw, you know, he lives on. He lives on through the art that you guys have created. And you know, the other thing that was so impressive was that painting. And those paintings that he did. Are you still working with the painting with any other dogs?
Not yet. I'm gonna start. I still have his brush. Okay. And I was working a lot on his paintings before we realized that he had cancer. I had just started again because it was something that like I started doing, and then he did good, and then I would stop and move into something else, and blah blah blah. But then I was starting to really do like some really guiding from behind where I wasn't there.
Yeah.
In other words, like go and touch here, go right, go left, up and down, and he was doing really, really, really good. He was doing that would have been a crazy stuff to come up with, but we never finished it.
Yeah, I mean, but he got to an amazing point. Anyway, how did you find out that he had cancer? What happened?
Like I said, I don't want to tear up, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But
this will be it.
Short story. He started having the pain, like walking and going like this, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on with him?" So I took him to the vet. We did X-rays and everything. It was nothing. They couldn't see anything, and then so they gave him some medications and they said maybe he pulled a muscle or something up in the back area. And I was a little scared because he did so much backup flips and jumps. It's like, did they really screw up this dog or what? You know, so. But no, there was nothing like that. And then they say, you know, you can get an MRI. But there was like, it's a waste of time. I took him to the specialist in San Diego. And the guy twisted his head and did everything else and blah, blah, blah. And he says, it's going to be a waste of time because I'm sure there's nothing there. And I said, do it. I mean, I'm so happy because the doctors tell me, I'm sure there's nothing here, whatever, you know. And then he calls me and he gives me the bad news, you know. He had tumorous cancer, but it was already like spreading. It was like 3 right in a row right there. So that was like, it was a really bad news. He says, when he saw it, he said, I can't believe this dog is even walking or anything like that. So he just said, you know, give him the best life. There's nothing you can do. This is going to go fast. And that's how it went. So
well, I think it's important for people to see that we struggle just as much as they do.
Oh no, it was hell. Right now is when I'm starting to be able to talk about it, and it's been a while already. So.
Well, I appreciate you talking about it, and
Mhm.
you know, his influence in the dog industry and in the world is quite remarkable, man. And his memory will live on, and that's what I want to say about that. It's, you know, it is what it is, right?
It is what it is, man.
Well,
Nothing,
and then go ahead.
no, I say it's nothing you can do. It is what it is. Yeah.
That's right. And that's what I tell my clients. I say, there's nothing more to say, but this sucks. You know, this sucks. And we just enjoy every minute you have. And the other thing too, is that we talked about this with Jeff Gelman. There's a book or a talk by a gal named Brene Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about the importance of like trauma, and this is trauma whenever we lose somebody or grief or any of that stuff, that before it happens, there's no real use in practicing it, because if you practice grieving or anything, it doesn't alleviate anything when it does happen. And so enjoy the time that you have all the way until you don't, and then use that time that you don't to grieve and to mourn the loss. And that's, you know, but don't practice it. And I see people all the time, they get freaked out about their dog, you know, dying or whatever. And I'm like, the dog's fine. He's right here with you. Why are you getting all upset? You know, the dog's right there. There's going to be plenty of time when that time comes, but let that time come.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so Brene Brown, what's it called? Power of Vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say, Omar?
No, I said better later than sooner, but it happens.
Yeah, better later than sooner. No kidding. So if people, you know, you say that you're working with people, is it just in the South California area, or are you?
Yeah, like I've been quite busy doing the studio work. So I say sometimes when I have time, I'll train a dog here and there for clients and stuff like that. I have some old clients that I've had it for so many years that I train their dogs, or their recommendations or whatever, and some movie stars and stuff like that I know also. I train their dogs and never say no. So it's just that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, what do you recommend for people that want to get into this line of work, or do you ever offer like Skype session for professionals or anything?
Like as a professional dog training, or?
Yeah.
Well, right now I want to start as I was actually opening up a training center, but because some stupid zoning things that I never got to open it. Actually, you got to close it in the next couple of weeks.
Oh no!
So I was going to start something there with training more people than dogs, training trainers, as people want to become trainers. Also, I wanted to teach about studio work. There's a lot of people that want to do this, and I'd love to help them. There you go. I have a couple of people. I have a lady that is coming from the UK and another one from France in the next couple of months. They're going to spend some time here, and then I'm going to teach them how to do the studio work.
Well, I think, you know, just with the DVDs that I got with the over, you know, with the tape, that was ingenious. I mean, but it makes sense once you see it, and you see, and then once you capture that movement and mark it, and then it's good. You know, it's just a lot of times I think that if a dog trainer just kind of got a 30,000 foot view of what you're doing, they would get it, you know, and they can incorporate some of the stuff that you do in other aspects of what they do as well. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, trick training is awesome. I mean, we can do so much with our dogs. It's not even funny, you know. It's basic obedience, heels are down, stay calm. It's just the foundation of what we can do. And that's why I like just name it. Right now my head is exploding because I get all kinds of ideas, and I put them to test. I go out and I test my dogs, and I have long run projects, you know, where we'll see what happens, and then so you'll see later on. There's a bunch of ideas that are exploding, so awesome. We're always doing something new.
I can't wait to see. James just got a new puppy. He says, I'm loving trick training. maybe some studio work in the future. What do you recommend as a must-have? I know that you have those platforms with the AstroTurf that you work those dogs on. What do you recommend as a must-have for people that are doing trick training?
I love training on tables. That's something that I've been doing since I can remember. Love training.
How tall is a table?
It really doesn't really matter. I get this question a lot. I have friends of mine that are telling me, like, I want to make a table just like yours. It really doesn't matter. It could be a 2 feet, 3 feet, however you feel comfortable, however the size of the dog, it doesn't matter. I like round tables because in a round table, you can move around a lot easier than in a square table, but it really doesn't matter. Any size table, I like it because it's just like, you just put him there and he's done. I mean, I can train a dog's obedience in a small table in no time. The only thing that I'm not going to teach him over there is probably to heel, but all the commands I can just in no time. Just like they get it and it's done.
Well, and I think that interaction with that dog is important as well.
Yeah,
and then you also have some videos, don't you? Or is this just videos that? Oh wow, look at that 54.
Those are old. I haven't seen those in a long time.
Old videos. Oh, it's not even. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, that was Jumpy in Miami. We were doing a dog show in Miami. That was many years ago.
Well, and I think that skid boot, man. When Jumpy did skid boot, dude, I'm like, you're kidding me. This guy's doing the skid boot. Yeah, this is all the.
Oh, that's the one that has a bunch of behaviors too. Yeah.
Yeah, this is everything, man. But this is, I mean, I can't even tell you how many clients have sent me this video.
Yeah.
What's your name?
And I'm like, this guy has it.
That was a long time ago. That was whew. I mean, what he was doing there, what he was doing at the end, it was like, that's nothing compared to what he was doing at the end. But it's just, I look back and he was good. He was looking good.
Yeah, he was, man. I mean, he flew. Look at the back flips. Turning to the right, turning to the left.
Good boy.
It's fetching underwater, retrieving underwater.
Look left. Look right. Good boy.
And so you just mark that over and over and over and over and over.
The looking left and right, I use a bait stick. You put it on the left and you just let him see it. You look left, then you mark it, you have a reward, and then you do it on the, and then he just has, then they learn how to do it. It's pretty simple.
You just do it over and over, even with the slows.
Yeah.
How did you get him to pee on mom?
It's just that's a command that he does a lot in for studio work. So anywhere that I tell him to go pee, he's gonna do it, no matter where it is. He won't pee, but he shows. But you know what? He actually did pee on some people by mistake. When he was learning, yeah, he actually did it. Yeah.
Look at this, man.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? Crawling to the mark. So the mark is like a little leaf or something you had there.
That was a hell of a.
In the bowl.
Yeah.
There's pee on mommy right there. Man, running up those walls.
Put your head down.
Look at that.
Walk. Stay. Sit. Good job.
And just look how engaged he is, And that's that cover up.
Yeah, total focus. It was amazing on the scooter. He was incredible.
All right, Jumpy. Time to go to bed.
Now you've done this. I think you show how to do this on one of your videos too. Or I've seen one with the yoga mat or something.
Yeah,
is he winking?
He's winking there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man! How the heck do you get him to?
I was actually blowing on his eye until he started getting the idea. You say wink, and then you blow in his eye, and then
no way.
Yeah.
My goodness, man! It's just so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun for me. It's just this is what I want to do. And that's I mean, this is so great. So
a lot of fun. It's like enjoy every second of it.
Well, I want to work with you, man. So let's make some plans. I want to come down there and see you.
Come down to LA.
Yeah, and then I want you to come up here too. I would love to do a trick training seminar here at the Bow Wow Bill Ranch.
We can do it. I just got to get the time, but we can probably do it.
Okay, yeah, let's make it happen. Well, Omar, thank you so much for your time today, man.
No problem. It was awesome.
Yeah, this is great. And everybody else, I have launched a paid page, a bowwowbuild.live. And Omar and I, and I'll probably just tap you in at another time to do a live interview on that page as well, where we can I want to get into some of the nitty gritty of the nuances on how we structure these commands.
Sure.
Okay. And so I'll put a link down below if you guys want to join my paid page. And thank you so much. Denny says, thank you, Omar. And I know that you have a lot of admirers in the dog industry, and I say thank you, but also I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, man.
Oh yeah, I'll die doing it, my friend. I will die doing it, that's for sure.
Awesome.
Good,
well,
man.
everybody, thank you for joining. And Omar, if you hold on for 1 second, I'll say goodbye.
Sure. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye, everybody.